Mickey Rourke was once known as the face of smoulder in Hollywood, and his sex appeal helped him gain tons of roles. But as the years went on, Rourke's face changed for the worst, and he was known more for his botched surgeries than for his acting or boxing. And today on Beyond the Screen, I'm going to be breaking down how he changed his looks over time. I'm Mackenzie, and let's get into it. In his younger years, Mickey focused his attention on sports, and he became an amateur boxer at the age of 12, fighting under the name Phil Rourke. But after a few concussions, Mickey decided to take a break from boxing and give acting a try. In the 1970s, he played small roles in big-budget films. Then in the 80s, he became a bona fide star when his looks got him cast in seductive movies like Diner, Rumblefish, and The Pope of Greenwich Village. Like Marlon Brando or James Dean, Rourke's face had soft feminine touches, blurred with, rugged manliness. And like those actors, his looks were short-lived. After a few years of being a Hollywood hunk, Mickey slowly started to detest Hollywood, and he even slammed his fellow co-stars and directors in the press when talking about his movies, saying in 1992, quote, "You go through the motions of feeling it, but you know the studio owns the public owns your so over a period of 8 years, you slowly lose your spirit in a way." And it seemed that his anger towards the industry manifested in him finding a way out in the form of boxing. In the early 1990s, he started boxing often, while still booking movie roles in between. But because he was a big star, he boxed with a lot of pros, and he was getting regularly hit in the face. Something that obviously isn't great if you are a movie star. Some think the reason that Mickey got back into a sport that he knew would change his face was a way to rebel against the industry, as his face was the reason he was successful, and he started to resent the pressure the public put on his looks. This same thing was felt by Britney Spears when she shaved her head, with her telling a tattoo artist at that time, quote, "I don't want anyone touching me. I'm tired of everybody touching me." And at that time, shaving her hair was her way of getting back in control of how she looked and giving a big middle finger to those that wanted her to look a certain way. And then only after a few short years of boxing, the damage was done, and Mickey looked very different than the Mickey that we knew from before. He broke his nose twice, snapped his cheekbone, and damaged his ribs and toes. At the time, everyone around him was telling him to stop boxing, as there were fears he could get permanent brain damage. But since he was acting around the same time, after he got hit in the ring, he would have to quickly fix it before getting back on screen. So he underwent tons of surgical quick fixes around this time and made his face look even worse. In a few scenes from the 1990 erotic thriller Wild Orchard, Rourke's cheeks are noticeably swollen, with people speculating that he got cheek implants, which Rourke denied, saying it was because of tooth surgery. And after years of botched surgeries to fix his face in 2009, he even admitted that his botched surgeries were the reason he was unrecognizable, saying, quote, "Most of it was to mend the mess of my face because of the boxing, but I went to the wrong guy to put my face back together," admitting to having 5 operations on his nose because it was broken twice, then also admitting he went under the knife for a smashed cheekbone. After all the botched surgeries, Rourke's reputation turned from that of a young, talented star to a washed-up has-been. At this time, it seemed his whole life was on the decline. He wasn't working much, was spending insane sums of money, and was in a toxic marriage, with his marriage to his Wild Orchid co-star, model Carrie O'T, dominating headlines. Speaking to The Times in 2011, O'T spoke of the strange dynamic in the marriage, saying, quote, "It was a paradox. I was afraid of his violence, but I felt a responsibility to protect him. I will always have a really sweet spot in my heart for him. I was so pleased he got the Oscar nomination in 2009. Around this time, Rourke was also reflecting on his departure from the film industry, saying in one interview, quote, "I had my career going about 10 years ago in the right direction. I started not liking the business and not liking myself. I was slowly self-destructing at a pretty fast rate. I felt like I didn't belong doing what I was doing," meaning the acting. "I felt some sort of guilt about being successful at it." Then in 2008, Rourke was a part of The Wrestler, which was his most critically acclaimed performance, getting him an Oscar nomination. This then led to other opportunities to get him back into mainstream cinema. But yet again, this was short-lived, as Rourke started trashing some of his projects after The Wrestler, like 13 and Passion Play, admitting he did them for money. And of course, after that, offers dried up, not only because of his trash talking, but also his appearance was the worst it had ever been, with his face looking botched and leathery due to bad Botox and surgery, but also his body not looking like what it once was. In 2009, for a bout with Elliot Seymour in Russia, which marked his first professional fight in more than 20 years, and he won in the second round from knockout. After that, he gave up boxing for good and tried to get his look back in order, and by about 2014, he was looking better than he had in years. His face that before looked leathery and stretched now was looking tanned and toned, with him growing out his goatee and a mustache, and his hair was long with him rocking silver hair extensions. Then posting an Instagram photo in 2014 with the caption, quote, "Now I'm pretty again, one more to go," showing that he had just gotten a nose job. But his look changed yet again a few years later, and in 2019 when he appeared on the Piers Morgan show, fans were tweeting that the person they just saw on TV looked nothing like Mickey Rourke. I'm not sure what he did since 2017, but clearly at that time it was making him look very unnatural, and he's kept that same look ever since. So guys, that's all for the story today. Let me know what you're thinking down below. But before I head out, I'm going to shout out some comments from my video on Henry Cavill getting injured. Vanessa said, "I would do 90% of my own stunts. The only stunts I wouldn't do is driving in anything with sharks." Yeah, I think I would do like the easy stunts, but anything even remotely difficult, no. Then MH said, "Awesome that he is doing his own stunts. Feel better, Henry." Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a very admirable thing to do. Then Mother of Chaos said, "Superman cursed anyone?" I didn't know too much about this, but I mean, is that a real thing? It could be, I guess. Hopefully nothing too bad has happened to any of them. Alright guys, that's all for the video today. Thanks so much for sticking around. If you made it all the way here, and if you liked the video, make sure to like and sub to the channel below. I've been your host, Mackenzie Smith, and I'll catch you all in the next one.